Okay, so this one's live first. I'll tell you what. Tubbo will make yours live. Yours is live.
Wait.
What's up, YouTube? Actually, in the Hey!
Good afternoon. Okay, so I'm a little nervous. And one of the reasons why I'm nervous is I don't get invited very often to come to speak to a Christian school. So just kind of bear with me. And I think one of the reasons why I get invited to a lot of debates and I get to be on panel discussions, but it's very rare that I get to go to a Bible class or a church. And so I think one reason I don't get more invites to a school like this is because many people think that because I'm an atheist, I must be evil and that I want to destroy your faith. That's not the case at all. I don't have a problem with religious people at all. I don't. If you believe in God and you believe the Bible is written by God and you believe that when you die you're going to go to heaven, hey, that is wonderful for you. That is great. I don't have a problem with you thinking that, and I don't want to try to ruin your faith. I just have a problem when people think that that's actually true. I mean, if you could convince me that God exists and that there's a heaven to go to when I die, I would believe it. Just don't see any evidence for it. As a matter of fact, most religious people that I talk to, they're not very thoughtful. They kind of have this judgmental attitude, and they kind of have this, the Bible said it, I believe it, that settles it kind of mentality. But maybe you're different. Coach Hearron had some good things to say about you guys. Maybe you have some good reasons for your belief and you can justify that, and we can discuss some of those reasons. So again, I am not here to ruin your faith. I was invited to speak, to tell my story, and open it up for questions and answers. So I think you'll find out my story is not too different from yours. I was brought up in a Christian home. I went to church. I believed in God. I read the Bible. However, when I was in college, I was asked by my roommate why God allowed babies to be born with cancer. He said, if God is so loving, then why would babies be born with cancer? And I couldn't come up with a good reason. I mean, I felt like there was got to be an answer out there. So I talked to my pastor and youth pastor, and they said, well, it's all part of God's plan, and all things work together. I'm like, babies born with cancer is part of God's plan? He planned that? I had trouble with that. I mean, if God knows there's cancer and he can stop it, why wouldn't he stop it? If he's all powerful and he can stop it, why doesn't he? And if he's good, it seems like he would want to. Well, as I began to study history, I learned that a number of years ago, before the scientific era, people would hear things they couldn't explain. Like, for example, they would hear thunder, and they were like, what is that noise in the sky? And they would say, the gods are angry. And they were like, we just need to be careful we don't anger the gods. And then through the advancement of science and meteorology, we can now explain thunder. Thunder is not the gods getting angry. It's the rapid heating of the air. And then people heard earthquakes, and the earth was violently shaking. And they were like, oh my gosh, the gods are fighting. They're fighting and they're causing the earth to shake. And now we know through the advancement of science about plate tectonics and the science of seismology. And we can explain earthquakes. We don't need a God for an explanation of earthquakes. And then when it rained, people would say, the goddesses are crying. Not the gods. They said gods didn't cry, just the goddesses are crying. And so now through meteorology, again, we can explain what rain is. So all these gaps that were plugged in by God were closed with the advancement of science. And the more we learn in science, the less explanation we need for a God. However, as my faith began to falter a little bit, I felt like if I didn't read the Bible all the way through, if I was going to really commit to this God, then I needed to read the Bible all the way through. So I made it a point to go through and read the Bible from cover to cover. It took me a little bit over a year. And the contradictions that were in there just baffled me. And as I began to ask pastors and teachers and youth pastors, they said, don't doubt, don't ask questions, just believe. And then it hit me. They don't know either. And so it's at that point, it was a very difficult struggle, I realized that the evidence for God in Christianity was non-existent. And so I walked away, and now it's so it's freeing because I follow science. Science doesn't have all the answers, but we don't have to resort to superstition. Now, let me say this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are some good reasons to believe in God besides just have faith. And so that's why I'm here. So at this point, we can have a discussion about this. So who would like to go first? Yes, sir.
All right.
Step up just a little bit. Yes, sir. And your name is?
J.W. Wilkerson.
J.W. Nice to meet you. What question or comment do you have for me?
Okay, atheist professor, Coach Hearron. You said that the Bible contradicts itself. And
There are contradictions.
That there are contradictions
Yes.
in the Bible. Where?
In Exodus, I believe it's 11. There's where Moses supposedly met with God on Mount Sinai, and God gave him the 10 Commandments. Exodus says, and God spoke with Moses face to face as a friend speaks to his friend. Okay? Then you flip over to 1 John, and again, I know it's in 1 John. I'd have to look to see what the verse says. No man hath seen God at any time. Moses spoke with God face to face. No man hath seen God at any time. Those both can't be true. They contradict each other. There's one.
Okay.
There's others. You want to hear another one?
Sure.
Okay. In Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, those are the Gospels, and they talk about the account of Jesus, his life, death, burial, supposed resurrection. Do you know how many angels were at the tomb?
Some say there are multiple. Some accounts say just one.
That's right. Depends on which gospel you read. Some say 2, some say 1. Do you know how many women were at the tomb?
Depends on the account.
Depends on which gospel you read. That's right. Matthew records the guards. There were guards. The others do not record the guards. Matthew records an earthquake. There was no earthquake in the other 3 gospels. So everywhere you look, is there one guard or is there no guards? Is there an earthquake or not? Is it 2 women? Is it 1 woman? Is it 2 angels? Can't even get the story straight. So when you look at that, you're thinking they're made up because they don't even harmonize.
Well, when you talk about the Gospels, they are written by, the Gospel of Matthew is written by Matthew, one of Jesus' disciples.
Well, that's what people say. Technically it's unknown.
Gospel of Luke was written by Luke, a physician who traveled with Paul and got his account from Paul. And so all of those...
Do you know if Luke was an eyewitness to Jesus?
He was not.
Okay.
Not that it's known.
Okay.
And all of those accounts are from different people. Some of them were witnesses, some of them were not. So, and it's just it's a fact that not everyone perceives a instance all in the same way. Not everyone remembers every detail. So when you say that some accounts only mention 1 angel, others mention 2, I think that's just a fault of human recollection. That's my argument, that they don't exactly contradict themselves. And even though there's only 1 angel and 2 angels.
Yeah, but I thought this was written by God, that God inspired the Word of God. So technically, if you say that it's a mistake of man, then you have to put the mistake on God, because Christians believe that God actually wrote the Bible through men. Is that correct? So the mistake can't be ultimately as responsible from God. God's ultimately responsible.
Okay. Well, I have nothing for that.
Okay.
I can come back.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Bring it with you, it'll be fun.
So like, is it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll go back and forth between them.
Would you like to hold it?
All right, yes, sir. Your name is
Tristan.
Tristan. Nice to meet you. What question or comment do you have for me?
I was going to touch on what Jada,
Okay.
what y'all were talking about.
Okay.
About the Gospels being different.
Yep.
One, yeah, not everybody like perceives the same instance the exact same. But does the Gospels actually say something that like, does the Gospel of John say something like, whereas like there were 2 guards at the tomb, and then does Matthew say there were no guards? Or is it just Matthew or one of the other Gospels leaving out the specific detail?
It depends on which gospel you read. I believe it's Matthew has one. We're talking about angels or the guards?
The guards.
The only account that contains the guards is Matthew.
Right.
None of the other 3 contain the guards.
Do
So
any of the
why
other-
is that?
Do any of the other 3 specifically say that there were no guards? Or does
No, I don't think so.
So, would leaving out a specific detail of a story be a contradiction?
No, I wouldn't say that was a contradiction. I would say that they can't quite get their story right in the sense of differences, and the differences are they're so vast and so numerous. The point is, how can we tell on the trivia? If they can't get the trivial stuff right, how can we tell about the big stuff? Like, the resurrection seems to be a pretty big deal. So if they can't even get those accounts right, plus even if the resurrection account, if they get it right, the chances of a miracle happening goes against natural causes. It just goes against it. It's the least probable event that's going to happen.
Yes.
All right? So when you're studying history, historians look at what most probably happened. A miracle is the least likely thing to have happened. So based on that, wise men should choose probability, and that the event, the resurrection, is a probability event, and it's more probable that men make up stories than resurrections happen. I mean, dead things stay dead. Let's just be honest. Dead things stay dead. And we've always observed that, except Christians want myself and others to believe that this one time is the correct time. And I'm saying probability would dictate we should conclude that the disciples lied or were mistaken or made up the story or something.
Does probability not dictate that nothing comes from nothing?
Are you referring to
I'm referring to the creation of the universe.
beginning of the universe? So the way I would answer that is we don't know how the universe started. The good thing about science is we love the lack of knowledge, gaps in our knowledge, because the curiosity of not knowing drives science. It drives it. So we go after it. We're not afraid to say we don't know. What Christians do is say they know how the universe began. But in reality, they just believe. They don't know, they believe. And I'm okay with a theist saying he believes that God created. I have a problem when he says he knows, because he wasn't there and I wasn't there. So Christians have problems saying I don't know, when as scientists we thrive on not knowing, because that drives science. Christians who say I don't know, therefore God did it, that's a science stopper. That's one of the things theists do. They stop science by saying, oh, God did it, so they stop investigating. I think that's lazy. I think we should always investigate.
I don't have anything to build off that comment.
Okay? Do you know that the universe was created, or do you just believe?
Well, I know that the universe was created because off of science, and the science, I don't remember quite what it's called, but it's like the observing and then the theory. And the
Yeah, but
testing.
nobody was there to observe the beginning of the universe.
But has anyone observed something coming out of nothing since the beginning of the universe?
Well, if there was nobody there, then the answer to that question would be no.
Correct.
Nobody was there. So, since I wasn't there, and you weren't there, we both have the same burden of proof. I say I don't know how the universe started, and you say that God created it, but you're not.
I'm saying that something has to have created it, and it had.
Why do you say something?
Because, so just looking at it from a pure scientific point of view, no, you're right. I don't really have any factual, like, yeah, the God of Abraham, God of the Bible did do this.
Okay.
But through my experience of seeking the God of Abraham, the God of the Bible, I've experienced things that we could talk about later that have like reassured my faith. That have been like, yeah, that couldn't have been any like science stuff.
But it's your faith, not your knowledge.
Correct. My faith is what allows me to know that the God that created the universe is the same God that I worship. But it's my knowledge of the universe and what's happened to know it had to have come from a creator.
All right, why do you say that? Why does that cause? Because I'm saying I don't know. You're saying it's a creator.
Yeah.
But you believe that it's created.
Yeah.
You don't know it's a creator.
I believe it's the creator, and I do believe. I believe.
So it's a
and
belief.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not knowledge, it's a belief.
It's a belief based off knowledge. Like my belief in when I flick that light switch, the lights are going to go on.
Yeah, but we can test that. I can go over there and test it too. You can't test whether God actually created the universe or not. It's a belief.
Yeah.
Science can test. We can verify. We can repeat the test. I can repeat that test over and over on the light switch. I can't do it with the beginning of the universe.
I know that, but I can repeat test of something coming out of nothing through observation. Like nothing can come without a creator. That just doesn't obey the laws of physics, correct?
As far as we know. But we're here. We're here. So we know the universe, we had to start somehow. Somehow there was first life. We don't know. Scientists, as a scientist, am willing to say, I don't know how life started. I don't know how the universe began. We got some pretty good guesses. We got some great men working on it. One of those would be the cosmic rebound theory, which is that the universe is expanding and contracting almost like a ball that you drop, and then when you drop it, it doesn't come as quite as high, and then it bounces again, it doesn't come as quite. So some people think that the universe is expanding and then contracting, expanding, contracting. And then right now we know that based on science that the universe is expanding. So they think possibly that we're in one of the expansions, and after it expands, it'll rebound back. Now that's a theory. It hasn't been tested or proven yet, but it's a possibility that people are still working on. There's some other models of the beginning of the universe. One is the multiverse, that we're in a infinite number of universes, and this universe just happens to be the one that has all the right cosmic quantities and values for life. We don't know. But we, as scientists, are not afraid to say we don't know. Christians say they know, but in reality they believe. And I'm just trying to get people to be honest and say you believe that God created rather than you know.
Okay. You want to get up?
I would love to be captain.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I gotta get up.
Okay, two things.
Hold up.
Okay, sorry, I'm Grisham.
Grisham, nice to meet you, Grisham. What question or comment do you have for me?
Okay, two things I want to address based on the conversation that just took place.
Okay.
Firstly, I noticed that multiple times throughout your conversation with Tristan and J-Dub, you made the claim that Christians in general have a hard time saying they don't know, whereas scientists don't mind saying I don't know because it drives their curiosity.
Correct.
Do you think it's fair to judge a religion based off of the people who believe it to be true?
No, remember at the beginning I said, if you believe that God exists and the Bible is the Word of God and you go to heaven when you die, I said, that's wonderful for you. What I'm trying to get y'all to be honest about is you say you know there's a heaven. You say you know there's a God. When in reality, you don't know. You believe. So I'm saying Christians are not being honest about their own view.
Okay. First of all, I feel like that's kind of a generalizing statement. I don't think you can personally know what every single Christian says, but I'm not going to,
Correct. And you're right. I'm talking about the ones that I've talked to.
Okay. So then I'll just go on record as saying I don't know.
Thank you.
Does that help your argument?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, then take me as an example and just
All right, before you go on, let me ask you one thing. You said you believe, you don't know. Okay. Could you be wrong in your belief?
Absolutely.
Okay, now turn that back on me.
Could you be wrong in your belief?
Yes.
Okay, that follows to my second question.
Okay. Now
Okay.
I'm being honest.
Okay.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, I my mind theoretically could be changed.
Okay.
Yours could as well, you're saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So, you're saying you have an issue with the fact that I think that I know. Okay. you have an issue with the fact that I think that I personally know how the universe was created, and you don't like the fact that I'm not saying I simply just believe and that I don't know.
I'm just saying most Christians, when they say they know that God created, they say they know, but in reality, I'm challenging that statement on knowledge that it's believe.
Okay.
Which is not a problem at all. If that's what you believe, great. It's just not knowledge.
And you would say you believe, you believe, however, in your.
I said I don't know how the universe started.
Correct, but you have your own beliefs.
But beliefs in the sense of scientific formulas that have been tested and empirically verified. Such as if I hold up a pencil and drop it, I can do that over and over and over, and gravity is going to pull that down. That's testable. That's verifiable.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So you said because no one was at the beginning or creation of the universe, no one can really know how it was created.
Okay. Well, it's interesting that you use the word created because that implies the creator.
How
Let's
it
just
began.
say,
How it began.
okay, fair enough. There we go. I agree with that. We don't know how it began.
Okay. So is it any less logical that based on personal experience, I would have one set of beliefs about how it began, and you would have a different set of beliefs based on personal experience or research of how you thought it began? So you are just attacking the mindset that Christians have towards the beginning of the universe?
No, I'm not. I'm challenging the claim that they know that the universe was caused by God, rather than saying, I believe that the universe was created by God.
So can I ask what that has to do with your personal beliefs? Like with you being an atheist, how does the flaws of some Christians' mindset have anything to do with your atheism?
Because I'm following evidence. I'm concerned about evidence. When someone says there is a God, they need to provide evidence for that. And I feel him in my heart, or I got some cool things that happened, or when I prayed for a parking spot, I got one up front, those kind of things. And so that's my issue. We know through science certain things are testable. I can't run God through the scientific method. He's not testable. And science, chemistry, physics, the hard science, those are the best ways we know how to obtain knowledge today.
So at least I've been told this, and I haven't obviously tested this for myself, but from what I've been told, I understand that there are thousands of recorded documentations of Jesus' life and additionally his resurrection. Do you believe that to be true, that there's documentation of at least his life?
Yes.
Okay. If there is...
I believe a man named Jesus actually walked the planet.
Okay.
I have no problem with that. He's a historical figure.
Okay.
I have a problem with that. Now, whether he's God and can raise and be raised from the dead and do all that other stuff, now I got some problems.
I mean, and of course I would have to go see if there is documentation. Okay, let me ask you this. If there's documentation outside of the Gospels that's included in the canon of the Bible that said Jesus was a real man who lived and he died and he was reborn after 3 days, would you believe that any more than you believe the stories included in the Bible to be true?
Well, there's no doubt that the Bible does contain some historical accuracy. There's no doubt about that. That's not what I have a problem with. Okay, what I have a problem with is once they jump off the page from history to superstition, such as miracles. Feeding 5,000 and walking on water. It's scientifically impossible to walk on water without some kind of trick. Okay, dead things stay dead. So I part ways, and I'm willing to bet you do the same thing just in other religions. Like if you were told that Muhammad rose from the dead, you probably wouldn't believe it. And I would say, why not? Well, you don't see any evidence for it. So it's the same thing. I'm just applying it to all religions. You're applying it to the ones that you grew up under, just Christianity, and you accept that to be true.
Can I build off of a claim Tristan made earlier?
Yes.
You said dead things stay dead. It would be absurd to say something that's dead could be then alive again.
Correct.
Is that any more absurd than to say that something that was once nothing? Well, I guess you're just going to say, how do we know it was never anything? Because no one was there.
Wait, you talking about the beginning of the universe?
Okay, yeah. Look, is it?
Yeah, because I already said I don't know what caused it.
Yeah. But let's assuming there was at one point nothing. Is it any more outrageous to assume that at one point in history something that was dead came back to life than it is to assume that something that was once nothing is now something, and that's the universe that we live in?
Okay, let me make sure I understand your question. You're saying, because I said it's absurd that dead things stay dead.
Can I rephrase it?
Yeah.
The unprobability that Jesus came back to life, that's what's stopping you from believing it? Or you said, for a specific example, was walking on water. It's
Yeah, those are
unlikely
all
that he walked on
miraculous
water.
claims that violate the laws of nature, and you can't violate the laws of nature.
True. Could a God violate the laws of nature?
If he exists, probably, but I mean, I guess I'd be willing to concede that. I'm open to it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, is the unlikeliness of anything that's ever happened in the history of science any more or less unlikely than a man at one point in history walking on water through the power of, a supernatural being?
Sure, there's things that are more unlikely, like the chance of somebody winning the lottery. But somebody wins it. So they go against all odds there. Okay? So we know somebody's going to win the lottery. It may be true that it is absurd to think that the universe came into being out of nothing, uncaused. But we're here. Okay, maybe we hit the jackpot on life from non-life. At least we're here to think about it. If we weren't here, we couldn't even think about it and ask the question. So I'm saying I don't know what caused it, but we're here to even ask the question. I'm saying I don't know, and many other people say, well, God did it or he created it. Maybe that's true. I just haven't seen evidence for it.
So can I ask one, just to end what I'm saying?
Sure.
Clarifying, overview statement here. You are addressing an issue you have with the mindset of many Christians.
It's just one issue.
Because they think they know how the universe was created.
Correct.
Can I just ask why is that such a relevant thing that you feel the need to address?
Because I feel like sometimes Christians are not honest.
Okay. In what
They
way?
won't admit that they don't know. They say they know, but they don't admit it. Now you have. I appreciate that. Okay? That's one thing. The other thing is I got some other issues with, the supposed God of the Bible. But that's a different story.
Okay. I won't ask you about those because I've been up here for long enough.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
If nobody else comes up, you can come right back. Somebody else? Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
And your name is?
Audrey.
Audrey, nice to meet you. What question or comment do you have for me?
I've been watching you make your whole argument from a scientific standpoint, and I want to maybe potentially bring it to a historical standpoint.
Okay.
So if your argument is we don't know the validity of the Bible, you have these inconsistencies, you don't know. Well,
No, I'm saying I don't know in the areas of life, how life began in the beginning of the universe. I do not think the Bible is the Word of God.
Right, you don't think it is an accurate historical representation.
Right. Because of some of the things that are recorded therein, okay?
Correct. Okay, so just pretend. No, let's not pretend. Let's say we have the Declaration of Independence. We have historical documents. Do you believe in those?
Well, yeah, we have those in the museums, yeah.
We have Bibles. I have one in my bag.
Do you have the original?
No, but there are copies of the original. I don't have them, but there is.
How do you know
But
somebody didn't change them?
Well, again, there's the belief portion of things. Okay, well, I was trying to bring it to history. How do we know that all the things that were written in historically written and documented, how do we know the truth of those?
Just like we would any historical event, I'm not saying that history is not a good way of knowing things. And I even said earlier that I didn't have a problem with the Bible when it recorded history, and I even admitted and conceded that there are historical accuracies in the Bible. My problem was when it starts recording things that are miraculous. Okay? The Declaration of Independence doesn't record things that are miraculous. It
Well,
talks about our independence, and we're declaring that to England.
okay, so Declaration of Independence, a little bit different. It's a written declaration. Let's talk about other historical, captures that we have.
Okay.
So how to me, how is the American Revolution not miraculous? Because you think of Britain, they have all these soldiers, all these men, all this money, all these guns, all these cannons. How did America win that? Because it was George Washington and his troops of
But
few.
none of that violated any natural law.
How could it have not violated if
Because
it was?
as far as I know, we don't have any reports of the soldiers flying over and shooting people and jumping up in trees and flying down. We don't have that to be miraculous.
Is there documents of that in the Bible of people flying around and?
If there was, I wouldn't believe it because it's miraculous.
Okay.
Let me ask you something. Do you believe the story of Noah's Ark?
Yes.
Do you believe that God sent a worldwide flood to kill every person on earth, including animals except the ones that are on the ark?
Well, every human except Noah, his family,
Okay?
his animals.
I've been into many churches where I go into the kids section and they have this cartoonish thing of Noah's Ark with the cute little giraffes and stuff. I never see the bodies of dead babies floating because there were babies killed in that flood. So you mean to tell me that your God, your loving God, killed babies and drowned babies in the flood?
If he didn't, then at the end of the existence, then it would be evil and murder and slander. That's the reason that he had to get rid of the earth, was because the people that were on the earth were already causing those things to happen.
Even babies?
If we bring it to nowadays, it is going to even be babies. If we think about it from today's standpoint, the abortion, there was a signing just the other day of a woman said in Congress somewhere that a child can be killed up to the day that it is born.
I understand. I understand people say that.
So we're saying that now. What's to say it wouldn't have been said then?
My point is, if God is loving, why would he kill the babies who have done nothing wrong in the flood?
Because it's,
And on top of that, why would God allow babies to be born with cancer? He could stop it if he wanted.
I don't know.
Let me ask you this.
Transparently, I
Would
struggle
you
with that
ever
one, too.
plan, if you had the power, would you ever plan for a family to have a baby born with cancer?
No, but that's why I don't have the power. That's why he didn't.
So you're
do it.
nicer than God.
No, but he knows that I can do what he can do. So there's a reason that God didn't give me godly powers, because he knows that what I would choose to do if I ruled over the whole universe would not be what his fair and right would do.
I just have a problem seeing how babies born with cancer who've done absolutely nothing wrong, they're going to die of this cancer. And if God is all loving, it seems like he would want to keep these babies from being born with cancer. If he was all powerful, he could stop it. If he was all good, he would want to stop it. So we still have babies born with cancer. So either he can't stop it, he won't stop it, or he's not there. I'm going to conclude that he's not there.
I'm not concluding that he's not there.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to say.
Okay, fair enough. All right, real quick. And your name is?
Kai Harvey.
Kai, nice to meet you. What question or comment do you have for me?
I was just gonna talk about your point of if God's loving, why would he let innocent babies die, be born with cancer, and those sort of things? And I would say that you're familiar with Genesis 3, of like the fall of humanity.
I know the story.
Yes, sir. So I would say that because of that, there is inherent evil in the world, not from God, but also says in, I'm not exactly sure where, but it says that man was given dominion over like the things of the earth, and then we kind of handed that over to the enemy, who I guess you may not believe in as an atheist, but we believe that we have an enemy, and so he has been given a certain amount.
Are you referring to the devil?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Like he does have a certain amount of power, and there's on top of that just the factor of fall. We are not perfect, and there is sickness, and there is all these bad things because of that.
Okay, let me make sure I get this. So because Adam and Eve, according to your scripture, ate the fruit, the apple, whatever, babies are born with cancer.
Yes, sir.
You don't see a problem with that?
No, sir. I see it.
Why didn't Adam and Eve get cancer? They're the ones that disobeyed, not the baby.
Yes, sir. That's not it. Is
No, we got 5 minutes. Okay, let's stop right there. All right, if you found that somewhat difficult